Yo! Oh man. Sorry. First things first, this is not an ad cleverly disguised as information. I'm not trying to sell anything for anybody. All logos and brands are meaningless. But here's the deal, we as humans, we are upright creatures. Well, most of us are upright creatures. But mountain biking is a very not upright sport. Now I get it, being crouched down is super aerodynamic, etc. But can being more upright make things easier, such as wheelies, such as bunny hops, such as manuals, such as tech climbing, such as tech descending, such as pumping the bike, such as all sorts of other things? I don't know, because I routinely and have traditionally always run lower rise bars. So I'm gonna try to see what happens when I get my hands a little bit higher, get my body in a little bit more of an upright position, and I'm gonna tell you all of the benefits and downfalls that I experience. There's gonna be a ton of riding in this video, so let's get going. Hey, cut. Can you let the editors know to promise they'll add a slide whistle in? Yeah, it'll be obvious. Okay, cool. And action. So without further ado, I'm gonna go put some high-rise bars on this bad boy and start answering some questions. So look at that, it looks absolutely wild, looks like a trials bike. So the bars that I put on are 75mm rise. That's coming from my old bars, which were 20mm rise. Now, the stack height on the medium-sized propane Tyee V6 is 624mm. So on the ICR stem, the internal cable routing stem, that spacer there, I believe is the equivalent of a 10mm spacer. I had a friend who could have told me exactly what 10mm looks like, as he had to deal with it every time he went. All right, let's get out here. Now I did ride around a little bit on my driveway yesterday to get the cockpit set up, and it felt absolutely insane. It feels insane right now. The crazy thing was that this handlebar change made me want to keep riding my bike in my driveway. It made me super excited to test this out. So while it felt insane, I'm optimistic that I'm gonna like this. Time for the first test, the wheelie test. It wheelie's easier for sure. So I will say the awkward feel at first is kind of wearing away. It feels cool now. It feels kind of cool to be in this position. The upright position for climbing definitely feels better. What it does do though is it makes my front end feel lighter and twitchier, which I'm not sure that I like. Look, I know, not a skinny, but maybe the closest thing we'll find to one today. The funny thing is, I think it's going to be easier to ride skinnies with high-rise bars, because what that does is it's going to put your shoulders, your head mass, more above your hip mass and the mass above your bottom bracket, which is more natural to like how we walk around throughout the day. Let's go slow into this little rocky bit here. See how it feels. Yeah, just forward and low. So the higher rise bars is creating for more of an aggressive hinge for climbing through tech. I'm climbing this, I'm experimenting with like the minor tech sections here. You know, nothing major, but enough to get some feedback. And I'm finding that climbing is way more comfortable, basic climbing like this. Now, as you get into tech, what I've found is that because my hands are 55mm higher, my center of balance is closer, I would say, like to the fulcrum, if you know what I mean, like the teetering fulcrum, the mechanism that makes my front wheel come up. The reason why that could be bad is because when you're powering through tech, if your front end's rising and floating, that can cause issues and bad lines and stuff. However, the benefit of that is I'm not using my arm muscles nearly as much to control the front end, so I'm using my bigger muscles, my lower and upper back, to engage like the placement of my front end. I personally really like that so far. With that small difference, the height change with my hands, it really does feel more so like I'm hiking up this rather than riding a bike up it. Okay, so after the first climb, it was like a 20-25 minute climb or whatever, good warm-up climb. Some technical spots, nothing too technical. 100% thumbs up on the higher rise bars. So track stands with the higher rise bars are way, way, way easier, at least more comfortable, I think. So the front end does feel a little bit twitchier. Now, I did put new rubber on yesterday, so I think my pressure is a little bit high. Could check that with a gauge, or I could check that with my fingers. Either way, I'm not gonna hold the twitchiness against the handlebars because that's something I can get used to. Also, if anybody's ridden a Zeb in the cold, you'll know that cold temperatures really make compression and rebound super sluggish. So I'm gonna ride a trail I don't think I've ridden since they rebuilt it, so we'll see what this is all about. I might have popped into the top section to test some things, but oh man. So trail manuals are way, way, way easier. So I don't feel like I can weight my front end nearly as much as I like to. I think, you know what I mean? Am I going the right way? But all of these, like this chunky stuff, man, it feels way better with the higher rise bars. I feel like I'm pushing through it better. I don't know this trail. Don't get light right there. Oh, I guess we jumped that. Oh, it feels awesome. Going kind of slow because I'm really not sure what to expect right here. Oh my gosh, I feel like a jackrabbit. Even at slow speeds, just like popping and pumping, man, it feels so efficient. I'm gonna test the bunny hop ability of high rise bars, specifically where it matters, over rocks and off of rocks. Let's check it out. Definitely a thumbs up for bunny hops. Bunny hop that. Definitely don't want to flat through here either. You know what I mean? Take this wide because I don't know the line. I think I missed something. Go back, I think I missed something. Let's go pop this little thing, see if there's, you know, like a gap or something. Woo! Yes. Oh gosh. Left foot forward. Yo. Just going kind of slow. Popping and poking. Popping and poking. Here we go. Going slow, man. Those little gaps are fine. Here we go. Bunny hop this. Yeah. Let's move some of this vine off the trail. This stuff is dangerous if it gets hooked up on your pedal or something. Okay, we respawned up from that vine a little bit. Like these higher rise bars instantly made my bike feel way more jibby. I'm not even riding really aggressive, to be honest with you. If you're curious about how my anatomy comes into play and fits into this scenario, I ride a medium frame, like 5'9½". My arms are longer for my body than I think that they should be, along with some other things, but my legs are a little shorter for my body. So parts of me were pulled from the wrong parts bin. You're good. So bar rides, friends or strangers seated on the handlebars, you're giving them a ride. High rise, way more comfortable for both parties involved. Now, under most circumstances, I make strangers face forward. But either way, Either way, it's gonna be more comfortable for your passenger. So we're gonna ride this about 80%. Generally always an 80% or less rider because I value fun more so than speed. Especially when I'm out here by myself, I got nothing to prove. Dang. Woo! Woo! Plus, I think there could be trees down. Whoa. Headwind is wild. Yeah. Whoops. Gotta go back. So far, the bars feel awesome on jumps. They don't feel twitchy anymore. I don't know if it's because I got used to it or what, but we'll manual over that one. Let's just manual this one too. Insanely good feeling. I don't know that I read that any better than I did the first time. Oh, shot. The wind is wild right now. I think there's a turn coming up. I always misplace this turn. That section you just saw me ride, I don't think I rode it particularly well, and that is mainly because of these bars. Now let me explain. As I was blasting through there, okay, I felt like there was way more weight in my feet. And because of that, I was a little bit more timid. I felt a little bit more bouncy, a little bit more jackrabbity. So I rode it more timid. With that being the case, a second run, knowing that that's going to be the experience, I can absolutely throw all my weight in my feet, really pump and pop all of those little, rollers and jumps and stuff, really blast into those turns. Definitely an improved sensation, and I think an improved output. Yo, pushing the bike like a bike, way more comfortable. Got some riders coming. Go behind this tree here, make sure they know I'm off the trail. So I'll lay the bike down, get this stick out of their way. You're good, it's clear.
Do you need help?
No, I'm good. I'm just staying out of your way, ma'am. Have a good one. Okay, so I'm gonna ride that section I just rode. I'm gonna ride it again, not so much to ride it faster, but so I can once again focus on the feeling. The berm feeling, absolutely, without a doubt, better with high-rise bars. I feel so planted and dialed into the berm, okay? But my front wheel doesn't feel light or drifty. One other thing I want to mention that I just noticed when I felt like I was going to blast through that turn up there is the rear braking seems more efficient. I know it sounds like I work for a big high-rise bar company, but I promise you I don't. I did not want to like these as much as I do so far. We got a tech coming up, we got drops, we got a lot more stuff, so let's keep rolling. I'm just picking up, ladies and gents. Woohoo! Let's get after it. Yo! Oh man! Sorry. I want to go back and look at that little root gap I just did. I've never done that before. That's a fun little gap. I wouldn't say it's hard, but I never did it before. I never thought about trying before. Interesting. Oh, yeah. You got that rock right there, man. That dude, no love for mountain biking. Oh, I gotta clear that. Gosh, sorry guys. Somebody comes out of this berm and hits this with the front wheel. It's gonna roll the front wheel. the direction they don't want to go. Nice try, bastard. And we're back at it. Wind kind of drifted me to the right on that. Here we go, we got a gap right there. Oh. Whoop. You. Whoa, I almost always blast out that turn. Yo! Sorry, Rim. Let's see how manuals feel. Dude, way, way, way easier. We're gonna go to your left. Yeah, you're good. You guys all right? You need anything?
Justin, their bike's in the middle of the trail. Right?
Nah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You're good. So, all right, let's start boogieing on a little bit more technical stuff, some rolls, some drops, that sort of thing. Uh-oh. No back brake, let's see what's going on here. So for some reason I lost all pressure in my back brake, but it's since regained. There must have been a major bubble in there or something. I don't know, a little bit of rotor rub, but we'll ride this with the understanding that I might not have a back brake at times. Listen to that. Did I lose a brake pad? Completely got pulled off. So what happened was up there, it was braking normally, and then all of a sudden it lost all what I thought was pressure in the line, but it's just, there's no, like, the pistons weren't pushing out far enough because instantly this whole braking surface just kind of came off. And then what that did was it tore up my little retainer clip here, and that got tangled up in the rotor. So quite literally, I have no rear brakes. So you gotta keep it tame. No brakes. Front brakes sound like hell too. I apologize for that. They must have gotten contaminated somewhere along the line. You're okay. I rarely hit people. All right, well, let's wrap it up here. So that didn't end the way I wanted it to say the least. What happened was the sintered compound on my brake pad just came off. The whole chunk of it just flew off somewhere. So what happened was my braking surface became the little springy clip there between the brake pads, and then once that got twisted and mangled up, it became the backside of the brake pad. So really no rear braking, and then for whatever reason, immediately the front brake decided that it was contaminated like Chernobyl, and honked like geese. So really no brakes on that trail. Certainly not the ability to modulate them, but that doesn't change how I feel about the handlebars, so let's talk about that. We'll go through all of the skills. Now here's the thing. No one upgrade is going to teach you a skill that you don't already have, right? So you can't buy anything to make you a more skilled rider. So with that being said, let's talk about all of the skills on a mountain bike. So climbing, I did like an hour and a half of straight climbing today, and climbing, 2 thumbs up. I felt so comfortable. Just that little bit of a raised posture really kind of opened up my airways and created a superior level of comfort that I didn't have before on the bike. The crazy thing with climbing is this, so much of it is mental. And when you are comfortable climbing, it just becomes an easier mental game. So the higher rise bars made climbing way easier. In terms of technical climbing, I'm gonna give it a thumb sideways. And the reason being is I was able to adapt and drop lower to keep the front end down to climb like little ledges and little shelves and climb little, technical, chunky, rocky sections. But I found that I was able to adapt and drop my body into a position that could easily control the front end. Now, the reason why I give it a sideways thumb is because I don't know if that'll be the case for everybody. And the other thing that I found with technical climbing is, so if you're trying to place and lift your front end around, I can do it more so with my core and my hips with just subtle movements versus, relying on more of an upper body motion to make that happen. Some people may love that, some people may hate that. So let's talk about wheelies. Thumb up for wheelies. Wheelies on the trail are practical, wheelies in the parking lot are fun. Either way, the high-rise bars made them more comfortable. Now, if you can't wheelie, throwing on high-rise bars likely won't give you that ability to wheelie, but I found that, trail wheelies where you're seated and pedaling and pulling the front end up were just easier to initiate. The same thing with manuals. Trail manuals and road manuals were just way easier to drop into and lock in. The high-rise bars just put your body in a far better position to quickly initiate those movements that are needed to manual or wheelie. Let's talk about like slow crawl stuff. So again, big thumbs up for slow crawling. I think it's because you're more upright. If you're standing up on your pedals, if you're out of your seat, you're just more upright, which is a more natural position for humans to be in. It just made the balance a lot easier. Like my head weight, my upper body weight wasn't further forward over my stem. It was just better balanced over the center of my bike. So I found that like track stands and like trials hops and that sort of thing, and just slow crawling through stuff was just more balanced and more controlled. Let's talk about jumping. 2 big thumbs up for jumping. I absolutely love these high-rise bars for jumping. It's just, if you use your body to jump and you don't rely on speed, the high-rise bars just put your body in just a more efficient position to use your leverage and your hips and your body mass to just initiate big, beautiful, poppy jumps. It was awesome. I love high-rise bars for jumping, and I mean, that makes sense. Let's look at BMX bikes and dirt jumpers and stuff. How about just general trail riding, pushing through chunk? 2 big thumbs up. The weight felt more in my heels, and I generally feel as though I have good riding technique. But I was able to push through rocky, chunky sections and not feel a whole lot of chatter in my hands, which is surprising because these are aluminum bars and I'm coming from carbon 1-up bars that are made to absorb some of that chatter. So perhaps my feet were absorbing the chatter. Either way, it just felt super comfortable blasting through, baby head rocks and chunky roots and stuff. 2 thumbs up for berms, man. You can rail berms with higher bars. I don't know what else to say. It's just the weight's in your feet. You just lock in and stand in it and rail berms. Let's talk about like popping around the trail, bunny hops and like bump jumps and stuff. If I had 3 thumbs, if I had more things to put up that wouldn't get me kicked off of YouTube, I would put them up, because without a doubt, the higher rise bars just brought my bike to life. It was way more jibby, way more playful. I felt like the input that I put into my bike with the high-rise bars resulted in a massive response, you know, out of the bike and out of the trail. But the high-rise bars, maybe the one thing that stood out to me the most is how it brought my bike to life. You know, I really felt like a controlled jackrabbit just bouncing around the trails. Let's talk about like the more descending type of terrain, like the more chunky, rocky stuff. What I noticed was with the high-rise bars, I was getting more of like a pogo effect in my hands. And I think that's because I wasn't really used to them. So I need to adjust my body position a little more and just get a little bit more forward or hinge a little bit more at the hips. But also honestly, I ride a lot of rebound in my fork. So I think I'll dial back my rebound and drop some air pressure, some pss. And I think like I'll be good to go there. And I think that's going to make a huge impact. But again, I'll follow up with this and let you know. Rock rolls just felt easier. You know, again, you're in a better position for a rock roll, and they just felt comfortable and controlled. I didn't feel like my front end was lighter. I didn't feel like I had to worry about my front end drifting or losing traction. Again, I didn't have any rear brakes at that time, so even with the lack of brake modulation control, I didn't feel like I was pining for more front end weight or traction. Let's talk about drops. One thing I will say is when I do drops, I generally stay more forward than I think a lot of people do, and I try to nose my drops into the landing, even if it's like a flatter landing. Just a subtle nose in on the landing will really reduce the impact and the shock wave throughout the bike. But I felt that drops were a little bit more of a challenge with the higher rise bars. And again, I think I can fix that with technique and just a little bit more ride time on them. But I felt like when I was dropping, I was landing with both wheels at the same time, which is a little bit less of a comfortable experience, at least from my point of view. One thing that really surprised me is when my rear brakes were working, the higher rise bars just put my body in a position that when I used my rear brake, my braking traction was way better. Like it was better. It just, my weight was in a better position. It worked better. I don't know how else to say it. I got more traction. You know, all in all, I did not expect to love high-rise bars as much as I do. I hate to say it because I don't want to switch from my one-up carbon bars, and I think I don't see myself taking these high-rise bars off the bike anytime soon. I really, really loved the benefit that they offer. And these are 75 millimeters of rise. These are aggressive high-rise bars. They felt crazy at first, but I quickly adapted to them, and I felt all of the benefits from them. Now, I share this information with you not so that you feel obligated to run out and purchase high-rise bars. It's just if I can share free information on the internet, share a free experience for you guys, I would be more than happy to. I'll continue to report on my experience with high-rise bars on my Instagram account or in the form of, you know, YouTube shorts. And I will put on my lower-rise bars just to see how they feel after coming from a high-rise bar, to see if maybe this was all like a honeymoon experience. Either way, I hope this helped. I appreciate it so much. If you watched this far, you guys rock. Peace.